I am a chartered registered forensic, and I work across both the clinical and academic sides, and I'm going to talk a little bit about both of those. Academically, I work at the University of Nottingham on the doctoral programme, but I also work for the NHS in a community service over in Liverpool. And the psychologists who are working there also, we work in a medium secure service, and I mostly work in the community service. And what that means is that pretty much the people we get are whatever walks through the door, although we just tend to be a service that specialises in working with people who've offended sexually against children. To become a qualified forensic psychologist, there are really three ways that you can do that. Okay? But before you worry about the three different ways, the thing that you're going to have to think about is what the BPS refer to as stage 1, and what everyone else in the world thinks about as being your MSc. Okay? You can't get on to, you won't become a qualified forensic psychologist without the stage 1 or the MSc. Because there are so many people who want to get onto master's programs to do forensic psychology, and it has to be a BPS accredited one to count. The demands that we make are really very high for people to get onto our programs. So you do need to be thinking about a good 2-1. And ideally, what you want to be thinking about, even at the stage of finishing your undergraduate degree, is certainly for our program, we like to see that people have got some evidence of being fairly research competent. The other thing that would be really, really helpful for you to think about would be trying to get some kind of experience. It doesn't matter if it's volunteering or if you get a summer job, just something, so that when you come along to an MSc interview, whether it's in Nottingham or anywhere else, people have the sense that you kind of know what you're letting yourselves in for. So if you can get some volunteer work or take some time out and be a psych assistant, anything that so you know what it's about, that would be really, really good. Where it becomes three different routes to then becoming a qualified forensic psychologist, the three routes are the BPS route, which the BPS refer to as stage 2. There is what is referred to as the HCPC route, and HCPC is the Health and Care Professions Council. And they're the people who now regulate psychology. Or there's the doctoral route. There are some advantages to the doctoral route in that, and currently it's Nottingham and Birmingham who run those programs, but I'll talk about the Nottingham one. You've got your masters, you come along, you've got, in your masters you've got an average of over 60%, you've got over 60% in your research, and you've got a minimum of 100 days of experience. That's if you want to get onto our doctoral program after you've got your masters. You can do your masters with us and do the 3-year program. You would get your practice whilst you're on the masters component. You come in, and effectively what you do is you do 4 placements. So you go off, and we would support you in doing that, and you go off and get experience working in different settings and with different client groups. But you have 2 years, and people who work consistently will graduate at the end of 2 years. They'll get HCPC registration, they'll get a doctorate from the university, and they'll be recognised by the BPS, and so then you're qualified, and all is well. The BPS route is typically done by people who are trying to stay in work. And most people doing the BPS route are employed by the prison service. So they're working as psych assistants, and alongside that they're doing their qualification. The BPS route, it's got the same requirements as we have for what you have to do in order to qualify. The problem with it is that you're working full time whilst you're doing that. The great thing is you're being paid, so that's really nice, because on the Nottingham programme you pay to come and do it with us. And the same true with Cardiff Med. The difficulty is that obviously it takes longer to get through the BPS stage 2. So in Nottingham, if you're working consistently, as I said, 2 years, the current average for getting through the BPS route is between 5 and 6 years. I'm just going to say a little bit about practice. And this is very much focused on my experience of doing work. There are lots and lots of other things that forensic psychologists do working in practice. So for example, a prison psychologist would be doing an awful lot of their accredited programs. Okay, and that's pretty much what they do, and they do a lot of assessment work. People working in private forensic hospitals, maybe doing an awful lot of assessments, maybe doing an awful lot of group work, maybe working with specific client groups. So there's some places where there are services for women with personality disorder, and that is what you would do. So it depends on where you see yourself working. Again, I think I'm very lucky because working in a community service, we do get a wide range of people. So it's interesting. It means that you are challenged, which I think is a very useful thing. It forces you to kind of keep interested in the area that you're involved in. So even if I wasn't doing the academic work, I'd still have to be reading stuff and thinking about stuff. We work with men and women. It is absolutely true that the vast majority are men. In my time working for the service, I have worked with 2 women. One was a woman who had offended sexually against children, which is relatively rare, but what was really rare about her, she was both a contact and an internet offender, which she's the first one that I've actually heard of who's done both. And the other woman was a woman who'd killed her mother. So within our practice, we do quite a lot of work on thinking about aggression, and some of that is group work and some of that is one-to-one work. And the sorts of things for aggression would be stuff like assaults, attempted murder, threats to kill, aggressive stalking, damage to property. So it's the whole range of sorts of things that people do. You can see that working with these, it's not going to be glamorous. Because a lot of the people who are getting into this sort of trouble, they're not glamorous people.
How far do you get along the kind of like forensic psychology route if you stop at master's level? Like, what kind of jobs would you go into from there if you know?
Yeah, I don't know. You would probably now struggle to get an academic job, just because most academic jobs want a PhD. You wouldn't be chartered and registered, so you would not be able to get any sort of chartered or registered job. So really, I guess you might be able to get assistant psych if you want to work with people, and then maybe you could go off into sort of a more kind of managerial type thing. Mm-hmm. But you really...
But if you want to do like forensic psychology, this is the route.
Yeah. I mean, same as it would be with clinical. If you got a clinical master's, you could do some stuff, but you would never be a clinical psychologist.